so I'm just going to ask a few questions and then we'll go to the audience, so please have your questions ready. Why don't we do a quick round of everyone introduce yourself, your name, pronouns, the film that you worked on, and your role, and yeah, we'll get started from there.
Hi, my name is Danny. I go by he, they, and I was the director of Who Raised You.
I'm Ashutosh. I'm the writer, director, and co-producer of Tara.
Hi everyone, my name is Ish. My pronouns are he, him. I'm an academic, a scholar, and I'm a co-producer of Tara.
So I was, working on this program block. I love all of these films, but I also, as much as they're about challenging topics, and we all have our challenges with our families, I found that every filmmaker and every story has a lot of strength in it too. Each character in the film, they come out with this quiet and sometimes very loud, passion for who they are and what they believe in. So I wanted to ask, what's your inspiration for the film and kind of bringing that sort of light to things?
Yeah. So for me, I think the idea of found families is my biggest inspiration. As queer people, we often, we can't choose our blood family, but we can choose the community and the family we build. And I think that the loss that my character goes through, he tries to find tenderness and connection in places where it's not necessarily easy for him, like a conservative family environment. And there's just some things that he will never, feel again, like the presence of his partner. But I think that the hope in the film is the new bond getting fortunate with the sister and meeting this family that could have been his in-laws. And for me, that was like the light of hope through all of it and what drove him.
For me, I identify myself as I'm gay. I am also Dalit, which means lower caste in India. There's a caste system in India. And unfortunately, it still prevails even in metropolitan cities. So this topic is very close to my heart because these are some things that I personally, me and the people around me, through my communities, have faced over the years, that casteism transcends queerness and race. And that's why it feels very personal to me to sort of write something like this. I have a friend called Ree. She's one of India's first Dalit trans rights activists. And she and I, we sort of talked over these topics about how transness and me being gay also affect our caste and vice versa. So that was my inspiration. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And also just wanted to shout out to my producer, my main producer. She's one of India's first Dalit trans women producers. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here. Her name is Zina Sagar.
And also, congratulations on your world premiere.
Thank you.
I'm just an enabler here. I'm a lawyer for the person teaching me privacy laws. I'm just here to support them. Caste is a big problem in India. More than 250 million people are affected by it. Around 4 deaths on caste right atrocities on a daily basis, so money is not a factor which gets people out. I work for various social justice causes, and it's all Ashutosh, guys. I'm just a enabler for me.
We have a lot of time. Are there any questions from the audience? Okay, wonderful, yes.
Sure, yes.
Explanation of the portrait.
That was something that I was worried about. I was also pleasantly surprised that our film got selected because it's a very Indian thing. The portrait is of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Bhimrao Ambedkar, as we call it. He is basically the one who emancipated Dalits out of the atrocities. He's done a lot of work to give up an equivalent piece like Martin Luther King. So in most of the places in my household growing up, my dad used to keep these portraits in the house, and we used to we pay our respects to Ambedkar, and he got us converted to Buddhism, distancing ourselves from the Hindu practices, which are primarily very casteist in nature. So whenever my dad's colleagues used to come over, when my friends used to come over, we used to hide the portrait just so that we can hide our identity and it may not affect our livelihood or my dad's work. So that's something, that's a practice that still happens. In various places, the portrait is just like a symbol of discretion. But in academia, at workplaces, in schools and colleges, people from my community do have the tendency to hide their caste because it's going to directly affect and it will have a real-time consequence on their living, their existence. So yeah, I hope that clarifies. Thank you.
Opening where you had the picture of the quote, but Aman took off a twine. Was that a caste reference?
Yeah.
Yes. Upper caste community, upper caste Brahmins as we call them, they wear a janeyu around their waist, which signifies that they are Brahmins. So there's a whole ritual that takes place. It's a ceremony where you're basically you become a Brahmin in the society. And it's considered to be the topmost caste, most superior one. So yeah, that's also a caste reference.
I saw another hand as well. Wait, yes, way in the back.
I don't know if you can hear me properly.
Yes.
Can you hear me nice? Okay.
Yes.
My question is for Nani. I'm from the Caribbean, so since the beginning with the song, when she was about to visit the sister, I felt safe because I don't know where she's from, but the accent I can tell that is basically the same place. I wanted to know the selection of the song because I think it was really accurate with the whole story, and how difficult was portraying the religious background of the culture of the whole story. Because there were a bunch of details that I was like, oh, well, that's my grandma's house. That's how I saw in Moldavia the same way. Not for that, but for the one who starts, but of the process in the other medical law. So I just wanted to see, I want to understand the thought process about it, the portrayal of the cultural music selection.
So questions about the music selection and the incorporation of religion.
Yeah. I really appreciated the location work for you and the production designer killed it. Yeah, apparently that's a pretty popular house. Julia Fox used it for a photo shoot, so weeks after my film. So I'm glad we made it look like Red Willa's house. As for the cultural elements, I come from a Mexican Roman Catholic background, and I knew that setting the story in New York, and as well as a different time period, I wanted to create some distance as well. So it's a Dominican family, and that's part of why I chose La Morisquera in this music. And for me, the music, I just really resonated with the lyrics, and for me, it's just so romantic and tender is the word, and it worked perfectly for me. And it also bridged the timelines together. For the song through it cuts from a memory back to playing at the house party. You can see it kind of ignite something in my protagonist. So the music selection for me was kind of I think it's called a leitmotif, showing passage of time and the way that they're tied. And then that's a really interesting question about the religion and family and those being separate or tied together. For me, I think Roman Catholicism and a lot of Latino communities, it's very difficult to separate them. For me, I wouldn't identify as practicing Catholic anymore or anything, but I still have family that will give me a rosary or will pray for me for things, and it's just kind of tied to my culture. And for me, I think for better or for worse, it's all part of the obstacle of everything. My character's inability to communicate, is this religion that brings the family together, it makes them very close knit, but it also is maybe not the most welcoming to his identity. It can also be hostile at the very same time. So I think there's a parallel there.